We all know how important the drawings are in From. As Ethan said, they tell a story, and if you want to understand it, you must put the drawings in the correct order. That's why I spent most of my time analyzing every single drawing I could find, and I discovered some shocking details that might tell us how the show will end. Let's start with the most obvious one. What do you think this drawing represents? For me, this is a clear hint of the Lake of Tears, and that a spider is the guardian of that place. Back in episode 1, after Ethan woke up from surgery, he said, "I saw the Lake of Tears. It was a drawing on the wall. And we were all there in the drawings, but somebody screamed because the spider came down from the ceiling." This drawing perfectly represents that, the Lake of Tears and a spider coming down. There's no doubt that we'll see the spider, there's just too much evidence for it. Here's another drawing featuring a spider. We also saw that part of the forest is covered in spider webs, and based on the fact that we saw the man in yellow before seeing the spider monster, it makes me believe that the spider is even more terrifying than the man in yellow. Another thing I'm pretty sure about is that the Lake of Tears is the ultimate destination for our protagonists. It's the way they will all go home. Learning about the children and the sacrifice, I'm curious if we'll see an actual lake, or if the Lake of Tears represents the tears shed by the children. Water is a recurring theme in the drawings, and I'll show you more examples of it. Let's take this drawing. I believe this is foreshadowing a future event. It's too bad we only got to see a small part of it, but from what we can tell, there's water. One man standing and another lying down. To me, it looks like the standing man killed the other. What's interesting is that the standing man seems to resemble the man in yellow, even though the color is closer to orange. The man lying down appears to be wearing a yellow shirt and blue jeans, and to me those clothes resemble the drawing we saw in the intro. Look at these two images, it really seems like the same character, right? This intro drawing always made me curious because of the dog. In the show we saw the dog with the boy in white, but in this drawing we don't see him. Instead we see a couple. Could these two people be the boy in white's parents? What do you think? One thing is clear. Season 4 will definitely answer our questions about the dogs and their purpose. So if we assume that the man lying down is the same one from the intro, I believe this scene could be a flashback showing how the man in yellow stopped him from crossing what I assume is the Lake of Tears. The last drawing I want to show regarding water is this one. To me, it looks like a boat sailing through a river with forest on both sides, heading toward a ring of light. There are many theories suggesting that the reason the town's residents haven't escaped is because the only way out isn't through the forest, but through the water. If that's true, then maybe this drawing represents exactly that, the way they'll go home after rescuing the children. This could also be a flashback showing how the original settlers arrived in the town, and it might be what that cave drawing represents. The reason I'm talking so much about flashbacks is because I'm convinced that one way or another we'll see multiple flashbacks in Season 4, either directly from the characters or through Julie's story walking. Now let's look at Victor's mega map. Big shout out to the Reddit community for putting everything together, especially Arthur Parkhouse and Katz, who redrew the entire map. There's a lot to unpack here. Honestly, I would need a whole video just to explain everything, and even then, I'd probably get a lot of things wrong. I just want to point out one element that I'm sure will be extremely relevant this season. This area here, the forest filled with graves. What sparks my curiosity is how many crosses there are and how far away they seem from the town. The only explanation I can think of is that this place represents where all the cars from the people who arrived in the town are located, but even so, there's a very low chance that they're actually the same place. The cabins in the woods are a game changer. When Jim and Kenny discovered them, they actually uncovered a whole new world. Up until now, we thought the town was the center of everything, that there was the town and then everything else. Now we see that the town is just a small part of it, and there could be multiple settlements. Maybe that area belongs to another town, or maybe Victor got scared and never ventured past those graveyards. What's even more interesting is the fact that we've seen graveyards in multiple drawings. This particular house caught my attention. I believe we'll see this house in the next season. Remember that in the Season 4 trailer we saw our main characters with backpacks in the forest, and we saw them staying the night in one of the cabins. I'm certain that this season they'll go deeper into the woods than ever before and uncover more secrets about this place. The show's creators also confirmed that by the end of Season 4, we'll learn everything we need to know about what that place truly is. That's why I'm confident our protagonist will venture further into the forest, and why we'll see a lot of flashbacks that reveal the story of this place. What I found very interesting about this house is that it seems to resemble this other one. Even if the colors are different, the windows and the chimney look similar. And if these two houses are actually the same, let me show you a third drawing that features it. Notice something strange about it? What if I told you those black shapes aren't trees, but hands? Like most of you, when I first saw this drawing, I assumed they were trees and didn't think much of it. But looking closer, don't they look more like hands? Once I had that thought, I couldn't unsee it. So here's my question. What if we get a monster POV this season? Maybe a flashback showing how they transformed, or their first night as monsters. Also, this house doesn't resemble any of the houses in the town. One thing is clear, it will play a key role in the upcoming events. Coming back to Victor's map, another key element is the compass in the bottom right corner. Even though it looks like a normal compass, it's interesting that each cardinal direction has a different color. I believe this is connected to how the Faraway Trees work, and this next drawing might be enough evidence for that. After seeing this image with 6 faraway trees, each with a different color, I had an interesting idea. There are 7 colors in the rainbow, and we know that 7 children were sacrificed. What if each child represents a faraway tree, and each one is linked to a specific color? When we first encountered a faraway tree in episode 4, Victor said he didn't know about that one. That means he doesn't know the location of all the trees. So what if there's one more faraway tree that hasn't been discovered yet? And what if that tree leads to the children? Maybe this is why they haven't been rescued, because no one has ventured deep enough into the forest to find the final tree. Another thing worth noting about Victor's map is how he tracked not only the passing days, but the weather as well. Earlier I said that the spider might be even more terrifying than the man in yellow. Depending on how many seasons from we'll have, I think I might have figured out what, or who, the spider really is. While going through the drawings, I noticed a figure that kept appearing. This strange creature. It's clearly not one of the usual monsters because you can spot a small wing on its back. I'm not sure if it's the same entity, but in one of Victor's drawings of his family, we can also see a dark figure in the background. So, could this mysterious figure be the true villain of the story? It fits the theme of a children's tale where the ultimate villain is often a dark, shadowy presence. But what if the spider and this entity are actually the same thing? Another interesting drawing from Victor is this one. While many people think it's a tribute to Stephen King, it could actually represent Fromville, a town trapped inside a crystal dome with no way out. Beneath the town, we can see something that resembles the underground tunnels where the monsters sleep. We know that events happen in cycles, and we know Victor draws from experience. Because people forget, but drawings remember. One of the biggest mysteries is how everyone died in the previous cycle. I find it hard to believe that the monsters killed everyone in a single night, so I think something else happened. And we might already have the answer in one of the drawings. If you haven't seen the Season 4 trailer, you might have missed this connection. But look closely at this drawing. Doesn't it resemble the scarecrow monster we saw? We saw the townspeople discover 3 scarecrows, and later in the trailer, 2 more. That perfectly matches the 5 faces Victor drew. What if the scarecrow monsters were the ones who wiped everyone out? They seem more powerful than the Smilers, especially since they can attack people inside. Maybe that's why our main characters left the town, because it was no longer safe after these new monsters appeared. Another recurring element in multiple drawings is this eye. I believe it represents the voices. They can see everything, but can only communicate telepathically. We also see a drawing where the eye is crying, forming the Lake of Tears. The last thing I want to highlight from Victor's drawings is this giant black hand that appears multiple times. We see it here, and we see it again here. What could it represent? Could this be the same hand? Could the moving trees actually be controlled by some kind of entity reshaping the forest to trap the characters? I'm convinced this black hand is an important clue, but I still can't fully figure it out. Now, I know this video focuses on Victor's drawings, but I also want to briefly talk about Miranda's, especially this one, which resembles the cages we saw in the tunnels. There's a theory that the children who were meant to be sacrificed were kept in those cages. The boy in white said that the children were born in the dark and killed in the dark, meaning they never saw sunlight. That could explain their pale skin and unusual appearance. Another detail I want to point out is this drawing of a person with a yellow tongue. Could this be one of the Smilers? We know that the only functioning organ they have is the gallbladder, so could the yellow tongue symbolize that? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, I can make another one where I dive deeper into Miranda's drawings as well. Thanks for watching.